Welcome to another Trek Sumo video, and this time instead of doing a review I'm going to be talking a little bit about a trip that I went on recently. So this is the hike I chose. It's and apologies for my pronunciation, I'm sure this is completely wrong, the Cairn Toul Braeriach Traverse. It's largely circular, although it does have an out and back, as you can see, and I wanted something circular because it's just more fun than walking somewhere and then having to turn around and come back. On the right hand side it's through a valley, and then on the left hand side it goes over 4 Munros, and it's a little bit more hilly, and at the very southern end there's bothy, which is somewhere that you can stay either in the bothy or just using it as a convenient marker point and putting a tent or shelter up nearby. So that's what we wanted to do. The Walk Highlands route, list it and do it clockwise, and you can just see from this image the arrows. So you do the valley on the first day, stay in the bothy, then do the hills on the second day. That's fine, I guess, although to me it seems more obvious to do it the other way around, and certainly for us, we had a nice early start on the Saturday, but on the Sunday we really needed to get away, and we certainly didn't want to be running late on the Sunday, so it made sense to do the harder, slower, more difficult day on the Saturday, and then stay in the bothy, having done the hills, and then have what should be a relatively easy walk back through the valley, and certainly a shorter walk on the Sunday. So that's what we did. So we did it the other way around. And I think now I will hand over to myself 3 or 4 days ago to talk a little bit about the kit that I used and some of the things that I took with me. So I've been kind of hankering to get out and about and back into the mountains. It's been absolutely ages since I've done a really good hike, and part of that's been because of lockdown. It's been quite difficult to travel, particularly to Scotland, but even to Wales. Part of it's just been pretty busy, but I've got quite an exciting trip planned, and I'll talk a little bit more about it. But I thought now, as I'm just preparing my kit, I thought I'd go through my kit a little bit. I've made some changes since the last time I did a good hike, and what I've really been focusing on is trying to get things a little bit lighter. So I've replaced some of my gear and trying to look at lighter options where I can, as I talked about a little bit in a previous video. So I thought I'd quickly go through what I'm taking with me, and particularly some of the decisions I've made that are focused on weight and being a little bit more compact. So this pretty much is what I'm going to be taking with me. Not the dog, he won't fit, although he's useful. It's down here. I've got mostly what I'll be wearing on the hike. Got a Rab synthetic insulated jacket, really good when it's a little bit chilly, but you still want something breathable. It's got these nice side panels. Got a Rab fleece, Rab trousers, a lot of Rab gear. Got some quite thin gloves. This won't really wear it hiking unless it's really cold. This is when I stop in the evening, or if it gets chilly, or even to sleep in. This is one of the first items where I've tried to lose a little bit of weight. I used to have the Rab Ascent 700 sleeping bag, which is really good, but I don't sleep particularly well in sleeping bags, and also by using a quilt you can reduce the weight a bit. So what I've got here is the Chorus 20 by Thermarest. Really brilliant. I've done a text review of it on the blog, which you can read. I'll try and link to it maybe in the description, and I will do a video of it at some point. I do love it. It's supposed to be rated, the reason it's called the Chorus 20 is supposed to be rated 20 Fahrenheit or minus 6 degrees C, which will be more than enough for where I'm going. I tend to sleep cold, so I'm actually a little bit worried that it won't be enough, which is one reason why I bought the heavier Rab jacket to sleep in if I need to. I got my Thermarest sleeping mat. This is great. I've used this a bit before. It's really light, it's really comfortable. There are lighter options, including just not really using a sleeping mat, but I'm not quite willing to go that far. Another thing I've done to really reduce weight is this, which is a new shelter. On previous hikes I've used a tarp, which you would think would be lighter, but actually using a military tarp particularly, and then you kind of need a bivvy bag as well, you don't end up saving that much weight. So this is the Pretense Soloist. It's a pole-free tent, so you need hiking poles essentially to keep it up. So I've got my hiking poles, which I like using anyway. It's really nice and lightweight. So the combination of these two things has definitely reduced weight a lot. The other big change I've made to reduce weight is, and I did a video about this, I got rid of my Jetboil, and I've switched it for this, which is the little Tokes pot and an MSR burner. Between the two of them, really lightweight, very hard to beat that. Got quite a big can of gas, don't need anything nearly this big. I'm a little bit annoyed that I have to take it, but it's really difficult to get gas at the moment. in the UK at any rate, part of the general supply issues we're having. So this is one that I normally use for my barbecue, but it will fit on that. At least means I'll have plenty of gas. Water filter, water bottles, food. It's not quite all the food, but it's the main 2 meals, and I'll add some more snacks. Here's another thing where I'm hoping to save some weight. The Gossamer Gear 42, I think, so it's a 42 litre pack. Should be able to get everything in here, and it's incredibly light. Quite basic frame, but still comfortable. Again, I'm going to do a proper review on this, so I'm not going into all these products in detail. There's a whole video on that. Hey, Bruce. Dog really useful for warmth at night and keeping bears away. But yeah, he won't fit in the bag. Can't compress him enough. Got waterproof trousers. They're cheap ones. I think I bought them from Decathlon. I need some better ones. This I'm really excited about. Brand new Rab Gore-Tex jacket. It's one of the first ones they've done that uses Gore-Tex rather than their own technologies, and should perform really, really well. So again, I'll do a proper review of that at some point. Micro spikes. I don't actually expect it to be really snowy, and I may end up not taking these. I'm going to look at the weather before I go. Head torch, you need that. Similar with this, I'm not sure it's going to be really snowy enough to need goggles, but I'll make a decision. We'll definitely need sunglasses. Garmin I did a video about recently. I always take it on this kind of hike, definitely going to want it. And I think that just about covers everything. Potential for some more warmer gloves and warmer socks. Haven't quite decided if I'm going to take those yet. But that plus a little bit more food, and I think I've forgotten my baseball cap maybe. Just so I got everything in there. So I'll be doing some more videos as I go, and I'll roll all of this together into a bit of a video about the trip, I think. But there's the starting point, what I'm taking with me, and then afterwards we'll see if I took all the right stuff or not. And as it turned out, most of my kit did perform really well. I bought 1 or 2 other bits and pieces and added them in, but by and large that did the job really nicely, and everything performed exactly as I wanted it to. Now the secret to being able to do this hike in a weekend, you can just about fly it if you fly up to Inverness, but really what makes it easier is if you get the sleeper train, and the sleeper train is fantastic because it leaves from Euston at around 9 o'clock in the evening, so you can finish work, get to Euston, have a bit of food, you get on the sleeper train, have a whiskey, get to sleep, and then you literally wake up in the Highlands. It stops in Aviemore, which is just a very short distance from the start of this particular hike. So as soon as it gets light, and because we arrived before it even got light, you're straight onto the hills and straight into the walk, which gives you the maximum amount of light, particularly in October when it's starting to get dark. As you can see, visibility wasn't exactly brilliant to start with, which is the story of my life, and we were starting to get a little bit wet and cold, but my Gore-Tex was doing really well, my pack was nice and light, I was just enjoying being out in the hills, frankly, and it was nice to see a little bit of snow. It made it feel slightly more adventurous. And some of the other bits of kit that I used that I've already talked about, my stove, I was using the MSR Pocket Rocket 2 and that little titanium pot. That was great. It boils water so quickly that I was able to stop and make coffee. Even if we just stopped for a few minutes, I didn't feel like we were taking too long or that I was delaying people. And it was nice being able to warm up with some coffee in a flask and then get moving again without delaying too much. Later on in the afternoon, it got loads more visibility, really beautiful, and as you move along that ridge line doing Monroe after Monroe, the views just got better and better, and it was absolutely fantastic. That said, we were really looking forward to getting into the bothy. We had taken tents. You really need to, if you're planning to use a bothy, you can't rely on there being space. It's first come, first served. A lot of them are quite small. But this particular route, it is fantastic. You can see why people do it. It's demanding. There's boulder fields. There's some quite stiff climbs. You are quite isolated. If you get to a point like this and you need to bail out, you can't carry on with the walk. There's not an easy route to get out from here other than just finishing the walk or turning around and going back, either of which is a pretty long way. But aside from that, it's just beautiful. It's glorious when the weather's like this. And as we eventually got up towards Devil's Point, we could look down towards where we could see the bothy in the valley below and that little green patch, and and it was nice to be able to look down over it. Fabulous views at the end of the day. Looking forward to getting in warm and dry. We're looking to see if we could see smoke, figure out if anyone else was there, and then we walked down the last mile or so towards the bothy. Really just as we got the last bits of light. We probably wouldn't have wanted to be out for too much longer after we got in, and as it turned out there was no one else there, which was nice because Bothy certainly is pretty tiny. There's not a lot of space, but it was really cozy. Once we got the fire going, got some whiskey out, got our kit dry, sat around and chatted for a while, and then got some sleep before we got up in the morning, had coffee, and braved the outside again. And the following morning was pretty grim, just horizontal rain, driving winds, exactly the kind of conditions that normally go straight through even a pretty decent waterproof jackets, but my Gore-Tex was perfect. I was really, really impressed there. I'll do a proper review of it. There's a picture there of my Rab fleece when I took the Gore-Tex off at the end of the day, and as you can see, the fleece is just bone dry, which is testament to how well the jacket kept the water out even after for nearly 5 hours in absolutely torrential rain and howling winds. But all in all, a brilliant trip. I really recommend it to anyone that's looking for a little adventure. It's really doable from London. Do consider safety, having the right kit with you. You need to be quite fit for the climb. You need to have proper equipment, and you definitely can't rely on the bothy. You need to have some kind of shelter of your own in case the bothy's full. But other than that, definitely something that I would recommend having a go at. Hopefully this has been interesting, bit of a break from the reviews. As you can see, there's loads of kit here that I haven't yet done reviews on, so that will all be coming up. But as I say, hopefully you've enjoyed this. If you have, do hit the like button, and of course, please do subscribe and check out the blog itself at treksumo.com.